Did you know that you sleep for 25 years of your life? And I'm not talking Matrix figurative, you've been asleep, Neo, time to wake up. I'm not sure that's an exact quote, I'm just paraphrasing. I mean literally sleeping for 25 years. You want to know how? And what can you do to get some time back? Coming up, my top 5 tips for better time management. Roll the intro. Hey HealMyTechs, welcome. This is Ash from HealMyTech, helping you go from newbie to techie. On this channel, we do repairs, reviews, and tutorials of tech, including sharing entrepreneur tips and strategies to help you unleash your true potential. In the description below, you will find timestamps for your convenience if you want to skip ahead to specific parts of the video, but I would be grateful if you watch the whole video at least the first time. So depending on which statistic resources you check, the world average life expectancy is approximately 71.5 years of age worldwide. In the UK it's about 81.2 and the US is about 79.3. The highest recorded is in Japan, which is about 83.7. And the lowest is in Sierra Leone, which is a country in west coast of Africa with just 50.1 years. And the average sleeping time recommended for most people is between 7 and 9 hours. So we're going to take a rough estimate to make it easy to calculate. We're going to say 75 years is a worldwide average, and we're going to say 8 hours is a daily average of sleep, just to make things easy. So in one day, there's 24 hours. If you sleep for about 8 hours, that's 8 out of 24 is 1/3. And if we assume that we sleep every day, give or take, a couple of nights that might have sleepless nights for whatever reason, it's 1/3 of your life that you're asleep. So 1/3 of 75 is 25 years. You sleep literally for 25 years. Just think about this for a moment. That's scary. Imagine if there was a concept that you would only sleep once in your lifetime and sleep the whole of your lifetime in one go. So you would be asleep from the time you're born till you reach 25 years of age, then wake up and you're done, and then you can live the rest of your life. Saying that sounds like a cool concept for a movie. Script anyone? I call dibs on the concept. If you do make a movie, I'm claiming copyright, give me royalties. Or we could do the movie together. Let me know. Now, even if you argue that, some people live longer or some people live shorter, which is true. Now, the actual years doesn't matter, but the ratio of your sleep to wake up time, that's what matters. So even if you live to about 50, you're still sleeping for about 1/3 of your life. Sleeping for 25 years assumes 3 main things. Number 1, that you are actually going to live until 75 years of age. You could die sooner. You could die at 60 or 50 or 40. You could die today. I mean, I could die right now in the middle of this freaking video. I think we're good to go for a few more seconds at least. Let's hope so. If you get to watch this video, I'm still alive at the time of upload. So that should deserve a subscription and a like. Second assumption, that you actually sleep for 8 hours. What I mean is you go to bed at 11 p.m, you fall asleep straight away, and you're waking up at 7 a.m. But you and I both know that's not how it works. You probably go to bed, maybe 11, but you go with this damn stupid device, right? Or TV or whatever you're watching, and you're up for a couple of hours at least, trying to burn the midnight oil. And also, we assume that once you wake up, you're not pressing that snooze button, you're not lying down, lazing around. And also, we said 8 hours. What if you sleep for 10 hours daily? Maybe some people do. I know some people who do. So that would equate to about 31.2 years of your life asleep. That's scary. And do you know people who sleep for 12 hours daily? That's half of the day. That's half of the life. That's 37.5 years. That's freaking crazy. And conversely, if you sleep for just about 6 hours, I think it's about 17 or 18.5 years of your life. And the third assumption is we are assuming that when you actually do wake up and you're awake time, you're not wasting time in your daily activities. Is that you? Because that didn't used to be me. Think about it. Time spent unnecessary in queuing up, in traffic, when you're unwell, just lazing about, watching nonsense on YouTube or browsing or on TV, or generally anything that you do where you're really being unproductive. You actually have less time than you think. And life is a lot shorter than we are told. It's scary. And if you're shocked about these statistics I just mentioned, it's not a theory, it's fact. Check it out. And the reason it sounds shocking is because of a concept called the cumulative effect. If you do something for 1 minute, right, it's not just 1 minute or not just half an hour or not just 2 hours. If you're doing this constantly, especially daily, everything adds up. For example, if you're spending, £5 or $5 on lunch, usually, it's not £5 or $5. Do that over the course of a year, which is maybe about 40 weeks in a year. And that's hundreds and hundreds of pounds and dollars. Similarly, everything I'm going to talk about today is a result of thinking of the total picture, the cumulative effect. That's why you should not just say, just 1 second or just 2 minutes, because these things add up if you're doing this all the time. Something for you to think about. Some people can actually open up a book every time they're on the phone, to maybe even at work, and they are told, you've been placed on hold. They can actually read up on a topic every single day for a few minutes each time, and within the course of a year, maybe they would have covered one full module of a university degree course. That's amazing. You spend a couple of years that way, you could literally do a full degree course just by reading something up while you're being placed on hold. Hey, don't tell your employees I've said to do this. You need to check with your employees if you're allowed to do that, okay? I'm not responsible for that. But that's just food for thought. Now, before we proceed quickly, this is not a philosophical discussion. This is not a religious expose. And I'm not talking here about what happens after death. I'm going to let you ponder on that. Rather, we're going to be talking about your life and the time you spend on this earth and how you can make the best out of it. And one last thing, one quote I listened to quite recently, it was from a guy, I don't remember the name, I'll put the link below. It was a YouTube video on time management, is that you cannot manage time. Time is beyond your control. What you can manage is yourself. So time management may be a bit of a misnomer. I do like that quote and I do agree. Manage yourself and the time will be more productive for you. So without further ado, here are my 5 top tips for better time management. Tip number 1, sleep better. Now, because we started this video with the sleep issue, why not tackle sleep as the cause and the solution to our problem? At least part of it. Okay, you have to sleep. It's part of life. There's no way around it. Even if you're an insomniac, and I do feel sorry for you if you are, I do have a bit of experience in that. I'm not as bad as some people with chronic insomnia, but I have worked night shifts and I do have occasionally some issues with sleep. So I know the feeling and I hope that you guys can find a solution. But even if you're insomniac, it's about what you're doing in that time that you were really supposed to be spent sleeping. Now, one kind of logical maybe solution would be to sleep less, should you? That's really up to you if you want to maybe gain some more extra time in your life. I can't tell you to do that. Maybe you should. But one way to go around it would be to improve your sleep quality. And if you do that, you could actually naturally, as a result, sleep less and still feel refreshed and healthy. So here are 3 ways for you to sleep better. Number 1, the most important part is to regulate your sleeping pattern, especially go to bed early and wake up early. And that is a key concept for most people, I would say for every successful people on earth in history. Successful people don't go to bed late and wake up late. The same amount of hours of a night sleep and day sleep, let's say you sleep for 6 hours at night time and sleep for 6 hours daytime, the effect, how you feel is not the same. And you know that for a fact. There may be some rare exceptions. You try it. Also, burning the midnight oil is the cause root of so many evils in and of itself. But if you sleep late, chances are you're going to wake up late. You're going to be late for school, for work, you're going to miss breakfast, you're going to be stressed, late for appointments, get stuck in traffic, and that opens a whole lot of can of worms. Just that single action of waking up late sets the whole day for a chaotic lifestyle. And you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes just 5 minutes earlier to catch that train or to catch that bus or to avoid that traffic jam makes the whole difference. Okay, sleeping early might sound like an easy thing to do or an easy concept, but it does take time to re-establish. At the end of the day, it's a behavior you've learned over the years and you can unlearn that. It will take a bit of time and consistency. The point is set a sleeping time and set a waking time and keep it consistent. Don't just do it for a couple of days or a couple of nights and then call it this, it's not working. That's not going to work like that. On that note, one bonus extra tip for the sleeping better. Do some research, but there's evidence to suggest that a power nap during daytime, usually around lunchtime, or also known as siesta in Spain, is a fantastic way of gaining some sleep back and feeling refreshed and being a lot more productive. In fact, the last time I read an article on it was about some companies, or at least one company, who was implementing this to their employees, and that actually improved productivity amongst the employees. Power nap or siesta is not a 2 to 4 hour daytime sleep. It's about maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know if it's half an hour. I mean, I tend to do this sometimes. Just, 5 to 10 minutes. It usually refreshes me. I'm good to go again. And it's really productive. So give that a go. However, be mindful of sleeping too late, like in the afternoon, just before sunset. That might actually ruin your night's sleep. So if you're going to sleep, it's around midday-ish, depending where you are in the world. Tip number 2 for sleeping better: review your diet and eating times. Both. I mean, come on, I'm not a dietitian or nutritionist, but you can do some research. What you eat does have an effect on your sleep pattern and also the times that you eat those things. I mean, I can't tell you for your individual body type or your current circumstances, but I can definitely tell you that if you do look into changing your eating habits, it will have a positive effect. And tip number 3 for sleeping better: regular exercise. And I don't need to expand on this. Get off your lazy bum and go do some exercise. I'm kind of guilty there as well. I do junk sometimes. I'm bicycling a lot more these days, but I should do a lot more exercise. So you want to join me? Hit me up. And if you do those 3 things at least, you will see as a natural result, your sleep will be better even if you sleep less hours. Result: happier and healthier you. You're welcome. Okay, tip number 2. That's a biggie. Avoid or reduce distractions. And in my opinion, distractions come in 2 forms: things and people. We'll tackle the things first. Since the advent of the smartphone, that has been one of the biggest distractions because of social media, amongst other things. Constantly checking your social media notifications all day. I mean, do you really need to know what your friend is doing in Portugal at every minute of their life? And when you do go to bed with that damn thing, you're going to be late night browsing for research purposes, YouTubing, or watching nonsense. Come on, you know the drill. There's also some evidence suggests, like holding this close to your eyes and the glare, the light emitted from it, does affect your sleeping pattern. How convincing is the research? I don't know, but you don't need research to know that. You do know that you are sleeping late, forcing your eyes, trying to watch the last episode of Game of Thrones, whatever it is, and you are sleeping less for that reason, or you're sleeping really poorly. The best advice I can give you is turn off the notifications for your social media. Turn it off, just completely. If you need to check it, select a time during the day, especially after you've done the most important task for that day. And then check your social media if you have to, and then leave it alone again for the rest of the day. That is the best advice. But an even better tip than this, you may not like it, is never answer your phone the first time it rings. But Ash, what if it's an emergency? Now, come on. Unless you're working for the ambulance services or the fire department or for the police, and you're on call, chances are that phone call you're getting constantly is not an emergency. And you know that to be true. Second thing, there will be some circumstances, depending on your family and friends situation, where sometimes, not constantly, sometimes there might be occasions where you need to have your phone on and you're expecting an important message or phone call. Fair enough, go with that. But that doesn't happen every day, and you know that to be true. So don't answer your phone the first time. If it's an emergency, guess what they're going to do? That's right, they're going to call you back. And if they can't reach you, usually you should try and leave some voicemail, like, if you can't reach me and if it's urgent, send me a text or send me an email. And that's a good way to avoid those distractions. I don't have the statistics on this, but I have read a few different articles that a single distraction can take around 20 minutes. Maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But it takes you a lot of time to get back to what you were doing before. And if you have a few of these, it's a major productivity killer. As for the human distractors, especially that phone call you're getting, chances are they don't respect their time. They're trying to call you to waste yours. So you need to make a decision what you want to do. Let them control your time, or you should be the master of your time as much as possible. So avoid them like the plague. Maybe get new friends. I can be your friend. Tip number 3, declutter, organize, and plan. It's kind of all combined in one. And you're going to need to do this for your home, your workspace, and your mind. Now, first, you have been hoarding piles of junk in the case that someday you might need it as an emergency, like that old roll of aluminum fence which is rusting away, just in case you're going to need to put it up on that acre of land you're going to be buying someday. Come on, chances are if you're not using it once monthly as a general rule of thumb, then you don't need it. Get rid of it, sell it off, you'll make some money. Give it away for free, put an advert out. If you give things for free, people will come and pick them up for you. Take them to upcycling or recycling. And if that doesn't work, then the last resort is get rid of it. Take it to the junkyard. You need to create space to be able to work productively. Right, once you've created space in your workspace and your home, the next thing is to organize things. Now, how exactly to organize, that will be depending on your habits. I like organizing things according to categories or activities that I do. You can take a look at that example, which I did a video on how I reorganized my office studio, and it made me a lot more productive since then. But you could do by category, or you could do by in terms of frequency of use. Like the things that you need most is you put them in front of the cupboard rather than the back. So labeling the things that you use is also a good way to be able to retrieve them. Think about filing, for example, those documents properly filed away, and also on your desktop if you can put things in the proper folders, and I'll show you a tutorial on this later. Now, the most important thing about organizing is to teach the people you live with to be consistent and continuous with using something and putting them back in its place. Make up some rules, keep reminding them. Everyone needs the habit. You've been in that situation. You're late for an appointment. You need those keys, or that coffee, or that blouse, or those shoes, and someone has misplaced it. That someone is usually you, but sometimes someone else. And you're in a hurry and you're stressing out and you're going to miss your appointment. And you know what happens when you miss your appointment? It has dire consequences most of the time. Right, and the last bit of tip 3 is to plan. Hold on, pitchforks down. Now planning. Yeah, sounds boring. I know, sounds geeky. Ash, plans change all the time. Yeah, I know plans change, but you know what? If you don't have a plan, you can't change it. You have to have it to change it in the first place. Duh. And guys, you may believe this or not, but life is crisis and crisis. And it's peace between crisis times. Life is ups and downs. There are peaks of everything. And the more successful people, the less stressed people, are people who do plan in between crises. So when the crisis happens, they are more able to deal with them. And after the crisis is over, they are more able to get back to a normal daily routine more effectively. And you know that to be true. We can't always predict what's going to happen. But when you do have moments of peace, those are the times you should be able to control as much as possible. How do you plan? There are many ways. I use Google Planner. I like Google Apps for these reasons. We'll talk about this later. But if you look at my schedule, I like weekly plans, and every day has a specific target, and each hour in that day has a specific slot. I know what I'm supposed to do next Thursday at 2:30, for example. Now, of course, things change. I do leave myself some contingency, some emergency. I also plan for when I'm supposed to relax. And yeah, you can't always predict that. You may be tired. Some days you may be more productive. But that's when you review it. A plan is not a static thing. A plan is dynamic. You readjust according to your needs and to things that happens. So don't be that guy or that girl. Come on. Really successful people are actually able to micromanage minutes as well, not just hours. That's a whole other level. I'm not there yet. However, for a plan to be successful, you kind of need to have a strategy for a to-do list. And the traditional to-do list, numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, it sounds okay. It's better than having no list, but it's not really great for excellent productivity. One tool I like to use, and you can check out for others, is what's called the Eisenhower matrix. Now, that concept explains that you take your list, your linear list, and you place them into 4 quadrants, and you've literally got 2 rows and 2 columns, one for emergency and one for importance. So the first quadrant, number 1, are things which are urgent and important. Second quadrant, they are not urgent but important. Third quadrant, not important but urgent. And fourth quadrant, not important, not urgent. As you may guess, things which are in number 1, first quadrant, are urgent and important, and you've got to do them first. As a general rule, that should be the first thing on your to-do list every day or every week, whatever you have. Attack those first, okay? The last quadrant are things that you should put there and then never do them. Cross them off because they're not important and not urgent. The third quadrant, what can be something which is urgent but not important in the third quadrant? Something like your subscription for Hello Magazine is going to run out tomorrow. Duh, it's urgent for someone else, but is it really important for you? And what happens if you don't renew it? You get the idea? You can delegate these tasks to someone else doing it for you. The one you should focus on the most is the second quadrant, which are the things which are important but not urgent. Because if you don't tackle them, these things will become urgent and important. So filling up space on quadrant number 1. So initially, if you start this method, you will have to work down the list of the first quadrant, but then you start attacking the second one, and hopefully that's your main concern. Because if you work on the second quadrant, then your first will never fill up, in theory. Tip number 4, don't work hard. Instead, you should work smart. Aha! Now, productive people do not multitask. Multitasking sounds awesome in terms of being productive, but most of the time it's not. Feeding your baby while on the phone to your friend and trying to make dinner may sound like you're very busy, but you're just being a busy idiot, not being productive and being very chaotic. This type of multitasking is counterproductive. Talking about working smart, this is called a smartphone. You should use it to become smarter. Yeah, it's more than just a social media device. Who knew? There are so many apps on a smartphone, on a computer generally, which are designed to help you manage your time and your life better. But most of us don't use it. We're just too busy checking Instagram. I use a few Google apps to synchronize between my smartphones and all my computers. There are other apps for other platforms. I'm not sure about iOS and Apple. I'm sure they've got their own set of apps that work very well together. So please do your research. But I do like Google apps because, for one, they're free and they are universally accessible anywhere on the planet as long as you've got an internet connection. First is Google Calendar, which I've showed you. I use Gmail, and from Gmail, you're able to, make appointments directly from Gmail onto your Google. I also use things like Google Drive, and that's really handy. I don't have to carry around a USB stick, and it keeps my files uploaded there, and I can make updates to them from anywhere in the world. I also use Google Docs, Google Sheets, like the Word and Excel equivalent, again for free, very useful. Google Keep, excellent way to keep notes. I also use Google Keep as a shopping list, and for me it works really well. You have Google Maps, you get the idea. There are plenty of apps are designed to be used that way. Most of them are for free. I mean, I don't know about Apple and iOS, but on Android, I've never paid for a single app, and I use a lot of the tools to be able to manage my time much better. On top of that, you've got, things like alarms and reminders. So do use them on your phone because your brain can only retain so much information. And if you've got a gadget that can actually do this for you, it takes away that stress from your brain. You're going to be a lot more relaxed person. Okay, let's not talk about becoming dependent on the machine. I mean, come on, there are ways you can use it productively. Another way of working smartly, think about automating a lot of the things you do regularly. Things like paying your bills, direct debits and standing order. They can be a pain in the butt to set up. They can go wrong, but for the most part, if you keep a track of them, it does save you time and money and energy. Shopping. Consider online shopping a lot more. You'd be surprised. I do 90% of my shopping online these days. It's been for a while now. And most of the time I find better deals and cheaper deals, including shipping if I have to. Many times I get things delivered for free. You need to shop around. It does take you a little bit of time initially to set up and understand where to buy things, but once you learn the tips and tricks, you're good to go. The time it takes you to go to the shop and back, which may take you an hour to 2 hours, I can do that within 5 minutes, and for the rest of the 2 hours, learn something productive, learn to make some money, or even relax and spend the time with my family or my friends or socializing, whatever. I'm just saying, do think about it. Now, if you're going to use the internet to shop, if you're finding products when you're researching, consider, listing these products in some sort of notes so you don't have to keep typing them in every time you open Google. Remember the cumulative effect, everything counts, everything adds up. So you can put them in a list or in the basket, or you can save them in Google Keep, for example, mail them to yourself. Anything to avoid you going back and keep typing, where did I find this? I don't even know. That's a great way of saving time. If you use frequent websites, I like to group a lot of websites I use under a folder as a bookmark. The bookmark manager on Google especially is really good. So you can even with one click open all these bookmarks. And I do this for my work, actually even for my personal life. You can even set these pages when you open the browser and you can go to settings and select open a specific set of pages, and as long as you've predetermined them, they will open, so it avoids you to clicking. And remember, again, you might say just takes a second. No, you're clicking a second, and 2 seconds and 10 seconds every minute, they all add up. But the beauty of it is, if you've synchronized it to your smartphone with the same logging, then you can continue from where you've left. If you were shopping online at home, you can continue on your phone and vice versa. Now, if you physically have to shop, and I do have to shop for food, avoid peak time shopping. Saturday around midday is peak time. Don't go shopping at that time. Try going early on weekends or weekdays off peak, or even late night if possible. Aside from traffic, parking and unnecessary long queuing up at the till, you may end up not finding the thing you're looking for because it's gone. People have gone before you, which means you're going to have to do the shopping run again, wasting time. Even better on that, consider bulk shopping. Usually it's always cheaper by the dozen, and because you would have decluttered and organized, you will have space to store those bulk shopping. I currently can do 2 weeks shopping at once, and it does save me time. So Friday usually is my shopping day, and I shop every other Friday. So the Friday that I'm off, I'm learning a new skill, or I'm relaxing, or I'm making some extra money, or I'm doing an awesome video like this one for you guys. And that by itself deserves a like and a subscription if you haven't done so by now. Do your thing. Now, if you're going to bulk shop, you may need an extra fridge or freezer. Some of you may think, come on, I'm going to buy a lot more than I need to, and then I'm going to also have to buy a fridge freezer. It's going to cost a lot more money. You'd be wrong. Initially, just the initial cost of buying it, yeah, it will cost more, but as with any investment, it's the initial cost that's more. Eventually, very soon, sooner than you think, it's going to pay for itself, and you're going to start saving on time, energy, and money. And one last tip on working smartly, think about cooking. Do you have to cook every day? You can cook in bulk. And if you've got an extra fridge, freezer, you can store them for emergencies. So it also saves you time on cooking. All right, last tip number 5. Multitask smartly. Hold on, Ash. You said not to multitask in tip number 4. Yes, I did. And well, this one is different because I said so. Okay, I said don't multitask, but if you have to multitask, it's more like killing 2 or more birds with one stone. Here's some examples. If you're driving to a destination, that's a great time for you to catch up with those phone calls that I told you not to respond to in the first place, or to listen to an audio lecture of some sort, or an audio book as an example. As long as you can do this relatively safely with a hands-free kit. If you're using public transport, that's another great occasion for you to catch up on studies or reading a book, and the phone calls and the social media checks. But if you're walking, even better. That exercise I told you to do earlier, you can do that then. Hopefully, you're going to be using a smartphone and an earphone, and again, catching about phone calls, listening to a lecture, learning a new skill, listening to an audio book, etc. Even better, get together with your friend or your friends whom you've been avoiding because you don't know their social updates, so you can ask them in person, because research has suggested having physical contact with actual people is far more effective. In fact, you need to look into it, but people who have lots of friends online on social media are more likely to be depressed. Fact. You can't beat physical human interaction, and you know I'm right. So hopefully you'll be doing this on your way to that 2 weekly shopping, but don't ask me how you're going to get back with all this shopping. Uber, anyone? Or, go together as a group of friends. Carpooling as well, good for the environment. So if you're going to be traveling, you should really plan your journeys everywhere you go. I like to use an app called Waze on the Android. I'm not sure if it's on the iOS. And that's been so helpful getting to places on time, avoiding traffic. If it's traffic time and you need to go out, if it's not really desperate, you could do with not doing that then and postponing it for a better off-peak time. Instead, do something else. Don't just jump into your car and head off. Do some very simple, quick research and planning of the traffic. Also, don't just go somewhere without checking whether they are open or the people are there to receive you. A simple, quick phone call will avoid you a lot of headaches most of the time. Go early. Getting early to a destination, whether it's an appointment or school or work or meeting someone, is never a problem. Getting late has dire consequences. You can lose jobs, lose contracts, people get annoyed with you, you build up a reputation, and it's all just not productive at all. If you get there early, you can use your smartphone smartly, hopefully to plan for the day or the next day. You can use your smartphone to make those phone calls, read a book, learn something. Come on, we've listed everything before. You get the idea. It's never a problem. If you know that the journey will take you 10 minutes, and if you live in London or any other big cities, right? You need to be leaving at least 15 minutes before, not 10 minutes. I would even say leave 20 minutes before, because you've all been down there on the A406 and on the N25 or behind the bin men, and you've been late for appointments. Come on, you know the drill. If you really don't want to be distracted by your smartphone, hey, there's always the good old traditional book. Keep one book with you all the time, and anytime you've got some time, open it and read. That would benefit you. So there you have it, my top 5 tips to increase productivity. So in conclusion, sleeping for 8 hours daily means sleeping for 25 years of your life if you live to 75 years of age. Unless you can improve your sleep pattern, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. So make use of the 5 tips mentioned to be a more productive person. Number 1, sleep better. And you can do this by changing your sleeping pattern, going to bed early, waking up earlier. Number 2, avoid or reduce distractions, especially social media. And rethink the people that are constantly wasting your time. Maybe renegotiate your relationship with them in terms of do meet them, but try not to get them to waste your time. Number 3, declutter, organize, and plan your home, workspace, and your mind. Number 4, don't work hard, but work smart. Learn skills, find shortcuts, think of strategies to make things easier for you. And number 5, consider multitasking, but with wisdom, and being productive rather than being like a busy idiot. Okay, so these 5 tips that I've mentioned are not an exhaustive list. Each of them can actually be a full expose on its own. So if you guys want to find out more practical tips, let me know below. Or if you want me to elaborate a lot more in depth on each of these tips and more, you know what to do. That's the end of today's video. Couple of final notes before the outro. This video was not sponsored. You will find show notes and links to everything I've talked about in the description below and in the cards above. Any affiliate link to sites like Amazon or eBay is clearly identified, and if you click them and follow through with the purchase, it will not cost you anything extra and you will help the channel with a small kickback, so it's a win-win for everyone. One more thing, if you want to ask a question, please be as specific as possible, including all the relevant details. You can check out this video which I did called The Art of Asking the Wrong Question, where I address this very common problem so we can help each other out without getting frustrated and wasting time. That's it for today, folks. Like, dislike, share this vid and comment below. And if you found the content helpful, consider subscribing to help the channel and keep you notified of future videos. Once again, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for watching. This was Ash from HealMyTech, helping you go from newbie to techie. Until next time, peace out.